Okay, here's the block of wood we're going to be using. It's 4 inches. I divided it into 2-inch sections. We're going to use just the 2 inches of the wood, and it's 1 1/8 inch wide. This is Eastern white pine, and I just went around and I, divided it, put a center line across, all planes, so just make it easier for our carving. We'll use the Stanley 199 for the first part, and I'm thinking maybe we'll use the North Bay Forge knife for the second part of the carving. We're going to do it, like I said, two separate eye tutorials. One's going to be a fairly easy eye and or simplified eye, and the other one will be slightly more complex. But both are actually really doable. Neither of them are overly complex. So anyway, let me get everything organized here, and I'll be right back. Okay, let's get started. We'll use, like I said, we'll do the simplified eye first. So I'm going to take down the edge. We're going to be forming the face, basically. Like I mentioned, when I'm looking at a tutorial, I'd rather see the part that the tutorial's about sort of in situ, rather than just doing an eye on a plane. It really doesn't, it's useful to some extent, but you typically are not carving directly onto a plane most of the time. So we're basically just getting the piece ready to form the basics of the face here. We'll do a quick nose to get everything set up, and then we'll go into the eye. This one I like to, again, don't worry about distances. We're not carving a figure here, so it doesn't really make a difference. We're going to put the brow line essentially right here. We'll cut straight into that. And for the simplified eye, I like to go kind of straight in, and then just kind of go right up to that line, and then start curving it around. Okay. So we're cutting in, again, this is the brow line. The eyes are going to be in this area over here, and this is going to be the nose. And then I've done tutorials in the past for this whole thing, so this may be repetitive to some, but I figured maybe it's a good idea to show it 2 ways, the eye, an easy, simple eye, relatively, and then a slightly more complex eye. Okay, so bottom of the nose, we'll say right about here. You could use any knife. Again, I grabbed the Stanley 199 because I put a new blade in it today and honed it up, and figured, what the heck. And honestly, I kind of like using it. All my other knives cost quite a bit more, but this one's kind of priceless. So there we go. All right. Let's draw some guidelines for the edge of the nose here, or the sides of the nose, I should say. And then we'll cut a line down, starting at the where the brow and the top of the nose come together, the bridge of the nose, and just cut a line in there. Okay, and then turn a piece over, and let's go to the other side. Keep in mind, if you're carving, if you're left-handed, you're going to be doing things in the opposite direction, obviously. And then just stop cut up at the top, and then we'll come over here and we'll just take the chunk of wood right out. Okay, so there you go. Same thing on the other side. We'll put a stop cut up at the top, the brow line, and we'll come back with a paring cut and take that wood out too. All right. You can shape the eye at this point a little bit, give it a little bit definition. or excuse me, the nose, not the eye. Again, this is not really a tutorial about doing the nose and the full face, but it does help to understand how to do the eye if you have a nose and face to work with. Okay, and let's draw some smile lines in over here. And for those who are familiar with this sequence, obviously, skip ahead a bit and get to the part where I'm carving. And then we'll go down the other side over here, like so. Take out a piece there, or stop cut there, and then just take out that wood. Something like that. And then same thing over here, stop cut, and we'll kind of take out the wood over here too as well. This is just give us a bit of perspective, so to speak, when we're doing the eye. And when you're doing these, is actually, if you're a beginner, then going through the whole process is always a good thing. And then maybe a couple of little notches over here for the nostril area. I like to come in here, kind of get them lined up as best as possible, and just notch it out. It's a pretty simple way to do it. And then come back and maybe just even that out a bit more. Okay, what I do now we finally get to the eye. Only 7 minutes or so into the video, and I'm finally getting to the eye. What I like to do is go in where the, you can see in this area over here, where the nose and the eye and the brow, everything comes together. Kind of stick your knife in there, go a little deeper, and then kind of cut out that little bit of wood over there. Just deepen it a bit, kind of like so. Okay, and then same thing on the other side. Again, this is the simplified eye, I guess you'd call it. All right, clean that up a bit. And you have something like that. All right. Now what I do is I'll come in here, create a little, we'll put a line in here, and then a line on the other side as well. Sometimes I find that it helps to draw the lines in first, because if you're flipping a piece around, you might kind of lose symmetry when you're making cuts in the opposite direction. So we'll just kind of put a little stop cut in there, cut up to that. It's kind of giving the illusion of the lower part of the eye and the upper part of the cheek. That's it. And that's really as kind of as simple as that gets. You can kind of round this a little bit if you want, like that. So there you go. To give you some idea of how simple it is. We're going to just take, you can take whatever, pen and put your spot there for the eye. And that's all we're going for. That's how simple it is. And then let's do the same thing on the other side. And then maybe round it up a little bit, kind of like so. Let's put another little dot in there for the eye. It's pretty simple. Now what I like to do is kind of cut down a little bit. Actually, I should have took some of the wood away first. Let me just do that. Okay. And then at the center point, cut down, take a little notch out. This is going to be the eyebrows, the brow, all kind of combined into one, since this is a simplified version of the eye. And then I just kind of work my way around here. In this type of character, or this, you're sort of giving, you'll have to create, since you're not doing a full-blown eye, you can create some expression just by the way you angle the brows. So kind of like that, and then maybe come in here and start shaping it a little bit to your liking. And this gives you some creative license there to shape that out a little bit and create the expression you want. And if you watch enough whittling, wood carving tutorials, or videos, I should say, eye tutorials are, kind of a dime a dozen. A lot of people do them, and there's some really excellent whittlers, wood carvers out there that do really nice work. And you can really go all out on the eye if you choose. There's you can grab some gouges and really shape it and get some real interesting looking, eyes. But what we're after here is just something real simple, because sometimes simple isn't necessarily a bad thing. And you can play around. I don't want to get overboard here, but because we otherwise the video drags on too long, and we still have the other eye to do, or eyes. So that's it. So there we go. That's a simple little eye tutorial. Very easy eye to do. It's not hard at all. You can go around and maybe add a little bit more detail if you choose to this area. Add some crow's feet or something on the side over here. You can certainly play around with that, but don't get caught up especially if you're beginning whittling, or even if you've done a lot of whittling before. Don't get caught up in worrying about messing up your carving because you're not that good at doing eyes. Sometimes just a real simple little eye is all you need. And there you go. It's just something like that, real nice and easy. Maybe just taper these down a bit more, add some hair in there, and make it look interesting. All right, part number 2. Let me get my other knife out, and I'll be right back with that. Okay, here we are with part 2. We'll switch over to the North Bay Forge knife. And if you're interested in this North Bay Forge knife, if you want to check back a few videos about the knife giveaway, you can find that about getting hold of one of these. And for those of you who have already expressed interest, thank you very much. I do appreciate all the positive support. Anyway, same kind of thing. I'm going to speed through this section over here because we're just literally prepping the surface. I'll be right back. Okay, here we are. We got it prepped up over there. So for this side, the thing we're going to do a little different. Before we came kind of straight in, we're going to kind of come down. We can put a little stop cut in first and then kind of come down in a bit of an angle. So let me just kind of get that started and I'll show you what I'm talking about. Kind of like so. You see the slope here is greater before we just kind of came straight in. And we'll just carry that right across. So there you go. If you can see how that is, we create a bit more slope that direction. The rest, getting the nose and the smile lines and all that kind of stuff, I'm going to speed through that because it's exactly the same as we did on the other one. When we're ready to get to the eye detail, I'll be back. Okay, we're back. Enough fiddling around with the nose. Get a little carried away. For the eye, for this more involved eye, so to speak, we're going to draw a line starting right about there, where the nose and cheek kind of come together. Just a little bit above that, if you can kind of see where I started. There you go. And then just kind of come up straight, and then we're going to come down. So just draw yourself some guidelines like that. And then the same thing on the other side. Kind of come up a little bit. And then bring it down. Like so. And then what we'll do is we'll put our knife on this line over here, and we'll just kind of go in a little bit like that. And then we're going to cut down sort of to that carefully and kind of take a little bit of the wood out. Kind of see like that. Same thing over here. You can kind of bring it down with your knife, make a line in there, and then cut that out. All right. Okay, there you go. I like to take the top of that triangle down a little bit, and so that's where we're at, if you can kind of see there. And you can deepen this if you want. You can kind of come in here and go down a little bit deeper and even take more out if you so choose. What we're basically creating here is the eyeball and the eyelid in one shot. Rather than doing them separately, we're sort of doing it in one shot. I'll show you what I mean. So you can see in here, I'm just going to clean that little piece up. What we've done is essentially create, if you can imagine, here would be where your eyelashes kind of go. And I hope you can see what I'm drawing here. This part over here would be the upper eyelid. This is the eyeball itself. So you can kind of draw a little bit of a... So there you go, if you can just kind of see it from the side. Sort of like so. All right, so that's that. We're going to do the same thing on the other side. Put our knife in the wood over here, kind of cut down, and then we're going to follow along this side over here carefully, and then start taking out some of the wood. And again, it pays, just take, be careful with this because you're dealing with small bits of wood, and depending on the type of wood you're using, it can chip out, and then you're going to be making a simplified eye. I probably would say use a maybe slightly smaller knife than this one for doing this kind of stuff, but it can be done with this. It takes a little bit more finessing, I think, when you're dealing with a slightly larger knife, because you can't kind of choke up on it, so to speak. All right. So we basically did the same thing on that side as well. And I'm going to carry this around a bit. Maybe on both sides. There you go. Just clean this up in here. For the lower lid, we're going to kind of do the same thing. We're going to come in here, I'm going to draw little lines just kind of around like so. Kind of come in here with our knife. This is where it definitely pays to have a slightly smaller knife. In fact, let me do that. Let me get a smaller knife so you can see in case you have one. So here's a little bit smaller knife. You can kind of get in there, and then just follow along that line like so, and then kind of come back and start taking that back a little bit. You're just basically creating a bit of a bulge in there for the lower lid. There you go. Let's get some separation between the eyeball and the lower lid. That's it. I like to have the lower lid tucked slightly below the upper lid. So I just notch it out a little bit on the end there. And it's probably difficult to see, but there you go. You can kind of see we got a lower lid and an upper lid and an eyeball in there. And then you can kind of, you know, you might have to go back in here and clean up a few little pieces. And we'll do the same thing on the other side. So essentially, take your knife and follow along like so. And then go back and remove some wood. And then let's separate the two, make sure they're separated. There you go. And you can go over like that. So kind of like that. So again, we're going to have a bit of the, like where the eyelash would be, and then your eyeball, or excuse me, your iris will be kind of like that. And this would be the lower lids, basically in here, like so. And then for the brow area, we're going to basically do the same thing that we did on the other one. So, you know, I won't bore you with the details here, but we're just going to kind of, I'll kind of zoom through this part pretty fast because you don't need to see this again. Be right back. Okay, so that's basically a pretty simplified eye as well. It's not overly complicated, and it'll get you, a little more detail, and it'll give you the ability to maybe paint in an iris and what have you. Maybe even a little black line there if you have a really fine liner type, rigger type paintbrush. You can maybe even get some darkness around the eyelash area, so you can create some even more detail that way. So that's about it. You can of course add a bit of over here, maybe on the edges, carry this through, add your little crow's feet and stuff like that to give it a little bit more character if you so choose. Or not, You can even come in and add more bags under here. Just kind of notch it around a bit if you choose. something like that, you know, to just, you know, and to create a little bit more detail, a little bit more interest. And something like so. So there you go. I'm going to just clean this up a bit, and I'll be right back and show you the final product on both of them. Hold on one second. Okay, that was basically it. We had two quick little eye tutorials, simple eye up here. Pretty effective, fairly easy to do. And then maybe a little bit more involved eye over there. So you got a lower lid, an upper lid type of thing. And that's it. Gives you a little idea of, you know, how you can kind of whittle some eyes on your piece. And we use the you know, this knife over here, the North Bay Forge knife, and the Stanley, and we're able to do it for the most part with those two knives. So again, I hope you found this tutorial useful. Let me know in the comments, and that's about it. Thanks for watching. Take care.